Hey guys, welcome back. Time to go ahead and portion and shape that batch of lean dough that we created earlier. And remember, this one was just salt, flour, yeast, and water, just 4 basic ingredients. It had a chance to crest up out of the bowl. That was its initial rise. We did the punch down, let it grow up again. And now it's time to get it out of the bowl. So always at this stage, you're going to want to have some bench flour handy. You're going to have a little flour on the counter surface where you're going to be placing the dough. And I always like to put a little bit on top of the dough itself. Now remember, we told you at this point, the dough really behaves like a living organism. And if you treat it rough, it will suck in and give you a little bit of resistance. If you work with it, smoothly, gently, and you don't really force your will upon it too much, it'll be a lot more forgiving. So first, I'm going to take with this rubber scraper here. Scrape all the way down and around. Okay, make sure it's freed up from the bottom of the bowl. Turn that out. Good. So we got a nice clean bowl. What I like is we've got a round shape to start with. Now I mentioned in our earlier video, if you have a scale handy to use for portioning, that's perfect. Maybe we're making baguettes. We'll cut these into 4 12-ounce pieces. If we're making dinner rolls, we'll cut it into a bunch of 2-ounce portions, so on, depending on what we're making. Or, especially for home use, we don't have to be picture perfect in terms of our portioning. Make yourself a nice round. And now let's just divide it in half. Okay. And now from these, I like to return that back to kind of a rounded shape again. Okay, they're sort of equivalent. Now we're going to do another division. Okay. All right, so now we've got here 4, fairly similar sized pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and tuck those ends so we can have 4 rounds. All right. And I can actually feel the room temperature is a little low. You can actually feel that this dough is not terribly warm. That's all right, but I can just tell this is going to take a little while, a little bit of time to proof, a little bit of rest time. All right, so we're going to go ahead and do 2 shapes. We're going to do a baguette. We'll do 2 as a baguette, and then we'll do 2 as a batard loaf. All right, so for the baguette, we're going to take minimal, kind of give it a little bit of a stretching. All right, and now we need to create a little bit of surface tension. Surface tension is what gives us the nice crust on the top. If you were to just bake it as it is right now, you're going to have very slack skin on the bread. You're not going to get a good crust. So we're going to use a series of folds on the baguette. I'm going to tuck it in once, tuck it in twice, and again, make sure you really press that seam in there. Okay, now let's do it again. I'm going to pinch that across. All right, now this seam line is going to be the down. This is going to be facing down. You're not going to see this. So go ahead and thoroughly pinch that to really fold it together. But what we've done is we've created some tension across that back edge. Now at this point, you want to not have an excessive amount of flour because we need to be able to get this bread to roll a bit. So starting from the middle, just going to be rolling towards the ends, with just a moderate amount of pressure. And if you're feeling like your bread is snapping back towards you, that means you need to let it set aside for a moment to have a little rest. All right. Right now it is cold, but it is behaving. I'm going to roll it out. Now on the ends, we don't want these to come unraveled. Just a little twist, 2 little twisted tails on the end there. All right. Working that out. All we're looking for is just really an even diameter, and then it's not going to come unraveled on us. All right. There's our seam line right here. We're going to place that seam line down on the pan, all right? And this stuff, it's very malleable. If you rolled it out a little longer than the pan, you can snug it in. If you're a little short, you can stretch it out just a tad. All right there. Now you'll notice any imperfections, in the thickness is going to be exacerbated whenever the rise happens. It'll really stand out. But again, it is homemade bread. All right. So now we're going to do the same one more time. Shape that to a bit of a rectangular shape. 1 fold, 2 folds, 1 more time over, pinch, 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 pinch. And there's many different methods for doing this. This is one that works for me. Pretty simple and straightforward. Okay, now to roll it. Okay, twist our ends. And so it's got a little bit of snap to it. If you can see that, you see how it's springing back at me a bit? It really could be a little warmer. Different times of the year when you're working with your your inside home temperature, you're going to have different rise times. We could also set this inside of an oven with just a light on if you wanted to have a little bit more of a, like what we call a proof box. All right, we're going to let this have a moment to rest while we shape the others. And then we will come back and we will score the bread, and then when it's had a chance to relax, we will do a quick wash with just water to create a nice baguette crust. And when it's about double that size, we'll be ready to put it in the oven. All right, now for our batard, we're going to go again with a little bit of a rectangular shape. Only this one's going to be a little more blunted. It's not going to be stretched into that baguette shape. All right, 2 folds over. Instead of 3 this time. I'm going to even tuck these ends back. Pinch, pinch, pinch. Okay. Just about like that. All right. All right. Boom. The less handling, the better, really. The more you get aggressive with the bread, the more it's going to start acting up with you, really. All right, so 1 fold, another, pinch, pinch, pinch. I'm going to shape that up a bit. All right. And again, there are a ton of different things we could do. We could take and make, 3 strands. We can do braided breads. We could do that figure 8 like a pretzel. We can do twists. We can do rounds, we can do, really all sorts of different shapings. These 2 basics will take you quite a long ways though. All right, let me see if I can locate, I'll bet you I got a good sharp knife over here. There we go. All right, so for the batard, we're gonna go ahead and do a lengthwise score like that. And you'll see as this has a chance to proof, that will open up and you'll see this is gonna expand quite a bit. That's gonna be a nice release valve for both the steam and just that carbon dioxide that's going to be building up from the yeast. All right, so we'll give both these a good score. And then now for the baguette, the traditional is going to be these long slashes, and you see how they're going to overlap one to the next. All right, you know what? This is the most popular, most well-known bread of France at this point. And what I've always thought is cool about this one, it actually resulted from a labor union dispute. There was a dispute about work hours and length of work day with the French bakers. So they needed to determine something that can get made in a shorter amount of time. Being that this is a long, narrow piece of bread, it takes a lot less time to proof than a large loaf. So yes, I mean their most popular bread actually came as a result of a labor dispute. I always thought that was kind of interesting. All right. So now, this one's already showing it's got a decent little coating of flour. At this point, the extra flour on the surface isn't going to affect our ratio at this point. It's just going to protect that bread from sticking. Because what we're going to do now is we're going to cover it and allow these to proof. Proofing is where the shaped dough has a chance to grow up to its product size. So 1 cover here. Another there, and then we'll probably check in maybe 1 hour to see if they're ready for the oven. All right, thanks guys, and I'll get back to you whenever these are ready to hit the oven. Bye.